Now at 6 o'clock, what we know about a potential plea deal in the University of Idaho murders case. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz is going to break it down for us coming up in our top story.
And if your next paycheck is a bit bigger, that's because Oregon's minimum wage just went up. We'll tell you how much of an increase you can expect.
Also this morning, we are live in St. Paul getting ready for the St. Paul Rodeo. Yeehaw!
Wow!
Yeah, that's a look at the Royal Court, this year's St. Paul Rodeo Court. We've got Queen Macy and Princesses Morgan and Anna up early with us for the Sunrise Show. More previews of this year's rodeo in St. Paul coming up here in the 6 o'clock hour of Sunrise.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us on your Tuesday. I'm China Green.
And I'm Drew Carney. Not only is it Tuesday, it's also the first day of July. And again, guys, the first day of the St. Paul Rodeo. Rod, can we get a rodeo forecast?
Yeah, really the forecast, once we get past today, is really comfortable. Now, this will be another hot day for us here in the valley. Not as hot as yesterday, but still toasty. We begin with this look, and you can see from the Schnuckwins Casino Resort camera, currently there's some low clouds down low. You got some sunshine up high. Not to be Captain Obvious. 55 degrees is the number. Here's a look from the Chehalem tasting room camera. Kind of a partly cloudy to mostly sunny start. Really pretty look out over the vineyard this morning. 60 degrees is the number. And here's Portland's day planner. So yesterday we made it to 94. Today I've got us 80 at noon. And then we stop at 89. Clearly we could hit 90, but certainly won't be as hot as yesterday. And then we have a nice cool down starting tomorrow. Here's Chris.
Rod, thank you for that. The traffic map in green right now. We'll take you down to Tualatin, I-5 near the 205 interchange. There's your northbound commute on the left-hand side of your screen, zipping right along there. We'll switch gears real quick out to Tennisbourne, Highway 26, rolling right along. And one more T, the trifecta of T's this morning. Troutdale. Anyone home? Anyone? A quick look at your drive times. We are off to a speed limit commute, guys. No major issues out there just yet.
Thank you, Chris.
So this type of thing does provide closure, which is good, but it also can rob families of answers.
That is a judge reacting to the news that Brian Kohberger, accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in 2022, appears to have reached a plea deal. That plea would allow him to avoid going to trial and also avoid the death penalty.
Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz joins us in the newsroom. So Thomas, how are the victims' families reacting to the news?
Well, Drew and China, the family of one of the girls allegedly killed by Brian Kohberger posted on Facebook that they're furious, saying this, quote, secretive deal was unexpected, rushed, and done without their input. Sources confirm Kohberger is set to plead guilty to the 4 murders of Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin at a hearing tomorrow. The 4 were stabbed to death at an off-campus house on November 13th of 2022. Weeks after the killings, Kohberger was arrested in Pennsylvania, where his DNA was matched to DNA found on a knife sheath at the crime scene. In a Facebook post, the Gonzalez family says they did talk to the prosecution on Friday about the possibility of a plea deal, and it was a hard no from our family, leaving her father shocked that this plea deal is happening.
It's my daughter. It's our children. How can you say it's just when you haven't even talked to us to see what justice looks like for us?
Kohberger will receive 4 consecutive life sentences and must waive his right to appeal. Experts say if Kohberger went to trial and was convicted by a jury on a death penalty decision, that could have been appealed and drawn out for years. Still, a retired King County judge tells us this is far from a done deal because in Idaho, judges can reject plea agreements.
If the judge does not conclude those things, that it is not voluntary, that it's a product of some sort of coercion, then yeah, the judge can reject it. The judge has an affirmative duty to make that determination.
Experts said Kohberger could also change his mind about a plea, leaving the door open that this case could still go to trial. China?
Thomas, thank you. Staying in Idaho, we're learning more about the gunman deputies say intentionally started a brush fire to lure first responders and then opened fire on them. Battalion Chiefs Frank Harwood and John Morrison were killed in the shooting. And engineer Dave Tisdall is in critical condition. Authorities say the shooter, identified as 20-year-old Wes Rowley, likely died by suicide. The sheriff's office released these photos of him. A former roommate says there were no warning signs.
I mean, that is an absolutely disgusting thing to do. You know, my heart goes out to those firefighters' families because I respect law enforcement and firefighters especially. And it hurts my heart, but it also scares the crap out of me because he lived in my home under my roof.
The sheriff's office says its past interactions with Rowley were all minor. Investigators haven't shared a motive. Rowley's grandfather told NBC News at one point he wanted to be a firefighter. And a reminder, if you or someone you know is struggling, help is available 24/7. Just call or text 988, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, which provides confidential support and crisis resources. Again, that number is 988.
The teenager who allegedly plotted a mass shooting at a mall in Kelso is no longer in custody. The 14-year-old's attorney tells us the state of Oregon could not prove that the teen, quote, ever actually attempted to harm someone. The FBI told a judge that the suspect admitted to planning a mass shooting at the mall, but that he had no actual intention of doing it. He still faces 7 charges, including unlawful use of a weapon and attempted assault. A man accused of trying to lure a 5-year-old into his car in Vancouver last week will stay in jail. 21-year-old Alexander Rieprock appeared in court yesterday. Police say Rieprock tried to lure the child into his car using a magic trick. There was Ring security video. You see it right here. It shows the child running inside their house while that white Versa drives away. Rieprock was out on bail at the time for allegedly approaching teenage girls in that very same car back in March and attempting to pay them for sex. Prosecutors say he was under orders to not have any contact with minors.
The man accused of leaving a bomb on I-5 in North Portland last month has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Authorities say Alexander Wick left an IED on the highway on June 14th. He also threw construction cones and nail-covered boards off North Failing Street pedestrian bridge onto the road. Wick's due back in court in August. Your time now is 6:07. 2 people have drowned in local lakes and rivers in less than a week. The latest happened yesterday afternoon at Horseshoe Lake in Woodland, Washington. A man went underwater and didn't resurface. A dive team recovered his body around 6:30 last night. It's not clear exactly how he drowned. Now that follows the death of a 40-year-old woman near Cascade Locks on Saturday. Authorities say that she was paddleboarding on the Columbia when she fell into the water. And with more people on the water for the summer, experts are reminding people that the gorge can create some unique challenges.
The current and the wind go against each other, so it's really easy for big waves and swell to kind of get kicked up.
So if you didn't know how it worked, it'd kind of be like going into the ocean without understanding it, and it can be dangerous for sure.
It appears the woman who drowned in the Columbia was not wearing a life jacket. Rescuers say having one that fits and wearing it anytime you're in the water is key. And remember, even though it's hot outside, rivers and lakes are still running cold.
Pretty cool story leading into Rod's forecast here. Conservationists and partners of the Oregon Zoo trying to boost the population of an endangered butterfly species. So it's called the Oregon silver spot butterfly. Conservationists released nearly 500 larvae around Saddle Mountain in Clatsop County last week. This year alone, the Oregon Zoo has helped release nearly 2,000 of these silver spot butterflies. Rod, a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes there at the zoo that you don't see when you just pay a visit. Yeah. And you see some of the animals on exhibit, but a lot of conservation work happening, and that right there is one example.
All right, well, thank you for that, Mr. Carney. We had some thunderstorms. We had some new fire starts last night down in southern Oregon, especially northeast of Medford. Then that stormy action kind of faded into showers as it moved up into central Oregon, and these are remnant showers now fading away. It's early in the morning to make any proclamation, but from what I looked at, the information available, it looked like just some minute fire starts that should not be a big deal. Fingers crossed, but we're watching all this carefully with more lightning expected today coming up into central Oregon. And because of that, a red flag warning, which includes all of Crook County, Prineville, good morning, and then back into Bend, Redmond, and Madras up in parts of Deschutes and Jefferson counties as well in central Oregon. And again, that's for late day thunderstorms. Possible new fire starts because of that. All right, here's a look at what's going on in the valley. We have a nice morning underway coming off of yesterday's high that was well up into the 90s. It was 94 out of PDX yesterday. Currently mostly sunny and 62 in Salem. Going to be another hot afternoon if you're out recreating. Here's the Oregon Zoo camera. We just had that story up in the West Hills. Temperature this morning 60 degrees. Here are the other numbers. Winds are light at this hour. A lot of 60s on the board, including 61 in West Lynn and 62 in Wilsonville. Salem's at 62. Dallas 57 though. McMinnville, good morning to you. 57 is your early morning number. Weather map today includes that late day evening thunderstorm threat up into central Oregon. Otherwise, again, it's mostly near 90 to above. We have the heat advisory in Pendleton back to the Dalles. Pendleton likely to hit 100 degrees for a high today. Mix of morning fog banks, but afternoon sun coming to the coast. Here's the 7-day. Today, 89, maybe 90. Tomorrow, we finally break the heat, 80. And then maybe 78 on Thursday, 77 on Friday, July 4th. The weekend looks comfortable for the most part all the way through. And that is your update.
Thank you, Ron.